All right, hello everybody and welcome back. I am once again filming from my living room because as you know, you should have been in class 2 days ago when I announced that someone who I am in close contact with on a regular basis has tested positive for COVID-19. So I am self-quarantining here at my house. This is my living room. Hope you're enjoying it. So I will be shooting the next couple of lessons from here. You're just going to have to deal with it. I probably won't be in for the rest of this week and partially for some of next week as well. So that's just kind of what we're dealing with right now. I am fine. I still don't have any symptoms. I feel fine. I feel good, but could take a while for the symptoms to set in. You never know with these sorts of things. I should be getting my results back on Wednesday or Thursday, and as soon as I know anything, I will let you guys know as well. There's nothing to hide. If I have it, I have it. If I don't, I don't. It's just something that we're all going through together. We're all living through this time together. We're all just trying to make it through. So, in the interest of full transparency, as soon as I know something, you guys are going to know it as well. Again, nothing to hide. As far as today, it should be very, very similar to what you did earlier this week. I will be going through a video. Remember, earlier this week we went over the early battles around New York, and today we're going to be going over the battles of Trenton and Princeton, kind of some turning points for the war. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Just follow along and make sure you're doing those questions. So there should be questions posted on the Google Classroom page. Make sure you pull those up and go through them as we go through these slides, and I will answer every single one of those questions. If you do not watch this video, then you are absolutely not going to know the answer to the last question, along with many others. You could probably look up a couple, but not all of them. I guarantee you will not be able to look up all of them, especially the last one. There's absolutely no way you'll get the last one right. I challenge you. I'm not challenging you. That would be ridiculous. I'm challenging you to not watch these videos, and I need you to watch the videos, so why would I challenge you? But I'm not going to waste any more of your time, and I'm not going to waste any more of my time because I am tired. It is late at night because that's just what I do. I wait until late at night. I'm sure many of you, I've seen when you turn in your assignments, you wait until the dead of night on Sunday nights as well. So bear with me here. It's late. I'm a little tired, but we will get through this as we always do. All right. So, after the battles in New York, who had the momentum and why? So this is our first discussion question. So if we go ahead and pause the video, I just want you guys to talk about this. Remember back to earlier this week, who had the momentum after the early battles in New York and why? So go ahead and pause the video and just have a class discussion, 1 or 2 minutes. Who had the momentum and why? Okay, so now that we are back, hopefully you guys took some time for discussion. We're going to talk about Trenton and Princeton. Before we do that, who had the momentum and why? We should remember that the British had pretty much all of the momentum at this point because they had won every single battle. Colonists had not won a single battle yet. The British just keep winning, and the colonists have no morale. It's winter, it's cold, they don't have supplies, they don't have warm clothes, some of them don't even have shoes. So morale is very low for the colonists. The British are pretty sure they're going to win this thing pretty quickly, silence the rebellion, and move on. Then we get to Trenton and Princeton. But before we talk about that, let's go over how the war is going so far for the British Army. So, General Howe, we remember there were 2 generals. They were brothers. One was in charge of the Navy, one was in charge of the Army. So General Howe is happy with his victories and predicts the war is going to be over soon. He has left Trenton, New Jersey in the hands of Haitians, which are Germans that are led by Colonel Rahl. So the British didn't always do their own fighting, so they would hire Native Americans or German mercenaries, also known as Haitians, to do their fighting for them. So they would just pay these people to go fight their battles for them, even though they weren't British, and they would just go fight. So instead of risking your own soldiers' lives, you could pay other people to go risk their lives, and hopefully they'd make it, but if not, that was okay as well. So they're going to leave Trenton, New Jersey in the hands of the Haitian German mercenaries. How is the war going so far for the Continental Army? So the Continental Army, it's going very poorly for the Continental Army. Like it's very, very bad. Not good at all. They are on a losing streak. They haven't won a single battle yet. Many soldiers are lacking like basic supplies like shoes and blankets and food. And if you don't have shoes, blankets, and food, there's a pretty good chance that you're not going to make it through the winter. So the morale is very, very low. People do not think that they are going to make it through the winter, let alone win the war. So what's the point? The Continental Army is camped in Pennsylvania near New Jersey. Remember, Trenton is in New Jersey, which is where the British left the Haitian soldiers. So Washington desperately needs to turn the war around. So you have to get a win somehow, some way, but how? And he says, if only I had a spy. So remember, we come across these decisions. There's spy decisions, officer decisions, and soldier decisions. Our first one today is the spy decision. So here's your situation. You are in camp, and somebody comes out of the woods, and they say, hey, I'm a spy sent by George Washington, and I have information that you should know. Your decision now, do you trust that person? Their name is John Honeyman. Do you trust them or do you not trust them? So they're going to give you information. Do you think that information is going to be good information, or do you think they are lying to you? Go ahead and pause the video, just talk about that, and once you guys kind of as a class make your decision on what you want to do, let me know, or don't let me know. I'm way away. Well, how would you let me know? Make your decision, and then once you have made your decision, go ahead and play the video. Okay, so coming back to this video now. So our spy decision, remember the situation. Do you trust John Honeyman or do you not trust John Honeyman? So as it turns out, John Honeyman is one of Washington's spies. So he was telling the truth. And he reveals that the Haitians are busy celebrating Christmas. So they will be completely unprepared for an attack if you were to attack Trenton on Christmas. So that's what John Honeyman has to say. So he then travels back to Trenton and tells the Haitians that Washington's army is in no condition to attack, and they believe his story. So he's going to go to Washington's army and say the Haitians are completely not ready for an attack. Like if you attack them on Christmas, you'll be fine. Like you'll absolutely win. And then he goes and tells the Haitians, don't worry, Washington can't attack. You have nothing to worry about. Feel free to celebrate Christmas. So Honeyman is setting the Haitians up so that Washington can attack and get a win. So Washington develops a plan. He's going to meet with his officers and tell them that his plan is to attack Trenton on Christmas Day when the Haitians will be celebrating Christmas. He plans to send almost the entire army, so about 2,500 men, across the freezing Delaware River, which is no easy task. So that's his plan. Once on the other side, the army is going to catch the Haitians by surprise. So if you heard this plan and you were an officer, would you think this was a good plan? That's your decision as an officer. Do you want to go ahead with Washington's plan, or do you think there's a better way to attack the Haitians? So you're one of two options. You either go with Washington's plan to cross the Delaware and attack Trenton that way, or you come up with your own plan. And if you were going to come up with your own plan, what would your own plan be? So go ahead and talk about that. Just however long it takes for you guys to reach a consensus as a class, and then go ahead and feel free to play the video. Okay, so at this point, hopefully you guys have discussed whether or not you're going to go ahead with the plan to cross the Delaware. Okay, crossing the Delaware is treacherous. Freezing rain, snow, and winds are going to batter the soldiers. So they are going to decide to go ahead with this plan, but it's going to be very, very difficult. So the river is frozen. It's tough to get across. If you fall in, you're probably going to die because there's just no way to heat you up. That's just the way it is. So you have to make sure you stay in the boat. If there's rolling tides, anything that knocks you out of the boat, you're pretty much done. So it's very, very difficult and very, very dangerous to cross the frozen Delaware River. The main group is going to be led by Washington, and they are able to make it across the river. The Haitians, meanwhile, are busy partying, drinking, and singing. Colonel Johann Rall is celebrating, and as he's celebrating, this is a very, very interesting tidbit of information. You're probably not going to need to know this. You need to know this for the questions for today, but as far as tests, I don't think you'll need to know this. This is just a very interesting bit of information. So Colonel Johann Rall, he's celebrating, and he's going to receive a note from a loyalist who was looking out across the Delaware River and saw Washington coming across. And that loyalist is going to write him a note, and it's essentially going to say, hey, Washington's crossing the Delaware, like, right now. You need to get your guys ready to defend yourselves because, like, there's about to be a battle. And he's going to place that note in his pocket without reading it. So that note essentially could have saved his life because they were going to attack, and he knew that they were going to attack. And he wrote a note to Johann Rall, who was the colonel of the Haitian army, and he essentially says, they're attacking right now, and if you get your soldiers ready, you can defend this place. And he didn't even read the note. So I thought that was a very interesting bit of information. I enjoyed that when I first learned about it. So on the morning of December 26th, Washington is going to lead the attack against Trenton. So the idea there was that on the 25th, they would all be awake throughout the night. They'd probably stay up late, and if you attacked them in the morning on the 26th, they would all be a little bit hungover, to be honest, and they would all be very, very tired. They'd all have good-sized headaches. So their idea was not to attack on the 25th, but instead to attack on the morning of the 26th. And this is going to be the first victory for the colonists. The Americans are going to win this battle. This is going to be a turning point for the Americans. They are finally going to get their first win in the American War for Independence. So Washington's army is going to capture about 1,000 Haitians as prisoners. They're also going to seize supplies like guns, artillery, and gunpowder, things they desperately need if they're going to even try to compete against the British. And only a handful of Washington's men are going to be killed or wounded. So overall, really successful. You have very low casualties, but you get all the supplies that you need. You retake a city that's fallen. It's a big win for the colonists. It's a very small battle, but it's a very big win because it's going to be a turning point. And we'll talk about why that is here in just a little bit. So Colonel Rall, he's going to be mortally wounded. So he's going to die in this battle. And according to the story, he is going to die with the warning letter still in his pocket unread. So just a little bit of twisted irony there. He receives a warning letter that says, Washington's crossing the Delaware, you need to get ready. He ignores the note, puts it in his pocket without reading it, and later dies from that attack without having ever read the note. So, although Trenton was a very small battle, it was a turning point, and it had two major effects. So Washington was no longer viewed as a losing general, but as a war hero. So if we remember from the lesson 2 days ago, Washington was starting to be seen as kind of like a losing general who couldn't really guide the army, and they were maybe thinking about a new general who could lead the army, and Washington wasn't going to be a success. So now, after the Battle of Trenton, they don't really think that anymore. They think, okay, maybe Washington is a winning general. He's just got a whole bunch of odds stacked against him. And then another reason why this was a major turning point, and one of the other major effects that this battle has, is that the colonists felt hope and pride in the Patriot cause. So when you're just losing battles and losing battles and losing battles, it's tough to keep your morale up. So when you get that first win, it's crucial that you capitalize off of that and they start feeling this hope and pride for the Patriot cause. So now we come to the soldiers' decision. So it's still the winter. It's still very cold. And what happens during the winter of 1776 is that the economy in the colonies is going to kind of start spiraling downward because soldiers aren't getting paid. There's no money to pay soldiers. So your option here, if you are, so for your soldier's decision, you need to decide whether to go home and work through the winter so that your family has money, or if you are going to petition Washington to pay the soldiers. So, should you go home for the winter to work, or should you stay and keep fighting but ask Washington for money from Congress? Those are your two options. So I'll let you guys discuss, and then I will show what the actual thing that happened was, and you'll see whether or not you were right. So go ahead and pause the video, and just until you guys reach a consensus on which of those two options you want to do. Okay, so at this point, hopefully you have discussed whether or not you want to go home for the winter to work or petition Washington to pay soldiers. So this is what's really going to happen. A Philadelphia merchant named Robert Morris is going to donate millions of pounds to the army. Washington is going to use this money to offer soldiers a bounty if they will re-enlist. And many soldiers re-enlist. So it's kind of a split decision. So soldiers that left can now re-enlist and get paid. Soldiers who are already there can now get paid. So it's kind of a split decision there. But for the most part, this is big because soldiers can now get paid to fight. So that's going to encourage people who didn't want to join the army because they didn't want to leave their family behind without any money. Now they can join the army and their family can get the money that they earn from the army. All of that, it's a great deal. Then we have the Battle of Princeton. So the Continental Army is going to cross the Delaware again just a few days later for another surprise attack. On January 2nd, they attack the British garrison at Princeton, and they are victorious. So they've beaten the Haitians in Trenton. This is the first time that they're going to get a win against the British Army. So this is going to be the Battle of Princeton. Another small battle, but overall, it's big because these two battles are going to serve as a turning point in the American War for Independence and also in the American Revolution. Congress and the First Continental Congress and the Second Continental Congress are going to use these two victories as ways to reinforce the army. So it's a very big deal. So these two important victories seem to turn the war around for the Americans. So 2 days ago, we talked about those early battles around New York, how it wasn't going well for the colonists. The British were pretty much rolling all over the colonists. There was nothing they could do. The British were completely in control, and now it seems like things have turned around. However, these victories were only very, very small battles. So from this point out, yeah, we might have stopped the momentum the British had, but can we capitalize on it? Can we get major victories? Can we go toe-to-toe with the British Army? It's going to be a big question. And another big question, will Washington be able to succeed in a larger battle? So these are the questions that you have to answer. Let me know if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns. Your 10th question on there was about a code word. That code word is elephant. So that is the correct answer for your last question on there. So let me know if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns. But that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be sending out more information as I get it. If I get more information, I will let you guys know. Right now, I don't have any new information for you regarding my status, but as soon as I know anything, I'll let you know. So until further notice, I will see you later, Wildcats.